Hello guys, welcome. What am I doing? No, come back. There we go. Welcome to part 2 of how to analyze pro matches or something. I should probably come up with a new title. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. But I'm going to apologize in advance if I'm a little bit slow today. I have not slept very much at all, but at least I got a fresh new haircut and I am dapper. I'm a dapper man. So let's just pretty much jump into this. It's NIP and LDLC again. It is the Overpass from that series, the same series which is DreamHack Winter 2014 Grand Finals. We used the Dust 2 from this series in the previous part, and likewise, I don't want to go too in depth, or well, not necessarily too in depth, but I don't want to go too far into the demo. I just want to take a few rounds here, and we can see what we can learn about Overpass. So, without further ado, let's just get ourselves into this, shall we? There we go, into the pistol. So first things first, let's just think about the possibilities here for the T's and what they've bought. To be honest, it's relatively standard here. Obviously, this map, you can do insane amounts of interesting things with the grenades. And so we will see Smiths with that smoke and the Molotov. The Molotov there's lots of spots to use it. If you're attacking B, I think the one key spot to use it is probably behind the barrels. Because if you're gonna, you can basically, I think, do the running Molotov from around here, and you can get it over towards the barrels. And if you're able to do that, then the player who's playing this position has to move. And if he moves at the same time that this push is coming in, then you catch it. These guys rushing in and catch him on the move. And that's kind of the ideal situation, because otherwise you can just duck behind this barrel in this corner forever, and it's really annoying. So that's a very common usage of a Molotov. Of course, the smokes are just so universally useful, and to be honest, Molotovs as well. I mean, the Molotov can also be used very well pre and post plant, because if we think about what is the purpose of a Molotov, I mean, the whole point is that basically you can use it either defensively as a CTs to obviously prevent or try to prevent players rushing on through, or alternatively, if you're the Ts, and of course it kind of works this way for CTs as well, you can remove players from positions. It's just more common that the Ts will be able to do that, obviously, because they're on the offense. So as I was saying, that you remove them from a position, you make them move, and that's really powerful. We've seen loads of Inferno plays on B, where the Molotovs go over the top, behind the quad boxes or in the corners or on the first oranges, just to catch these players, to force them to move as the push is coming in. And obviously, that's really strong. So when you're on the offense, so I do kind of like that. There's loads of ways to use Molotovs like that, and it's really cool all across the board. So always something to think about. Otherwise, pretty standard stuff. Let's move on to how the CTs are going to position here. So I think most notably, it looks pretty standard right now, apart from two players we'll talk about here, which is Forest firstly, going rushing down past toilets and then into the connector area here by the squeaky door. And this area obviously is bang on in the center of the map. So Forrest is going to be able to hear pretty much all the action here. If they're running through here at all, he'll be able to hear stepping. And the worst possible thing is if a few players move up this corridor here into this position. Obviously Forrest is going to be having a hard engagement there. But we can see the angle's kind of nice, at least for a one frag or something. But just mostly the most important thing is that Forrest can hear anything happening towards the toilets. He can hear and then respond. He can try to find out information. If he hears nothing, then maybe he can just try to work his way up connector and just take a peek. If he hears nothing, he can actually figure out what to do. Alternatively, if B is getting pushed pretty hard and fast, Forrest can try to stop any players making their way towards Suez from this angle, or he can try to help the retake with Freiberg through short, and or maybe just stop the players who are trying to get through the Suez angle. There's lots of spots where Forrest can quickly respond, where he can quickly react or get information for his team. So you can see that this is such a key position for Forrest basically. Oh, and Freiberg as well. This smoke is pretty common. I think NIP does quite a lot. You can toss it over from CT spawn, and it smokes off the Suez. Suez obviously is a really important part of the map, because it is kind of connected to very heavily to B plays. If there's going to be a B play, it's very likely that this area is going to be contested. And if it's going to be a B play that could turn into anything else, then you need this area, because obviously having access to the squeaky door then allows you to bring yourself into the A game. And it also allows any CTs who are nearby holding this area to not only kind of proactively get information and defend B, but also they're going to have the ability to quickly rotate, and not just rotate, right? Because we talked about retakes last time, but you know, you got to think about it this way as well. Like if they're rotating from up here, this is the flank, and often the plant can go down here, and the T's want to go and fall back onto toilets and to the upper park or the long. So you get the nice sandwich going as the players on B can come around this way, or rather around this way, and you can get the other players flanking from the sewers. So it's just really nice to have this area of CTs. It's very powerful, and we'll probably see this from NIP I think on round 5. So we can just jump into this quickly and find Forest, because yeah, hear that? That is some stepping. He had not just like one guy stepping there, but he had quite a few people. So this is a pretty big tell for Forest. Obviously pushing here, it could very well be that someone's going to come down and try to move down these stairs, but Forest actually is just going to take the risk, and that's very good, because again, what did we say like was part of his job here is to kind of respond and try to get the information if the sites get attacked. Well, they have 2 players on pretty much either site, so the sites are pretty much okay. So Forest is kind of expendable for information here, and as we're going to see, Forest is a bit of a beast, so he's going to take 2 quick frags there, and I think the third one's coming as well. I remember this happening. Very, very snazzy stuff there from Forest. I think we can skip ahead a little bit, because I think 3 players go down here, and then the push comes into A, but NIP have already responded. So we can go to the 5th round now, because that's when both teams have a bye. It's a particularly interesting round, because we can talk again about the sewers. So let's just skip a little bit here. Alright, so quickly we're going to note how the push comes in here from Forest and Michael all the way down connector. And this is how they take sewers. So if you think about it, a lot of them could have rushed this way. That doesn't really make a lot of sense, because, you know, why put everybody in one choke point? Because if they are fast this way, it's going to be a bit of a... everyone's going to be on one angle. Just it's going to be hard to aim through one another and all this kind of stuff. But this way... if map control from LDLC was going this way to try to take control of Squeaky, giving them options to both sites and giving the CTs a situation where they can't really know what's going on. Instead, because of Michael and Forest's position, they should be able to work out what's happening with less information, because they have such a key position. And so that means that what LDLC are likely to do based on the information that NIPC should be narrowed down much more easily, because they hold this key spot here that is kind of the key between A and B on the rotate. So you can see how they're able to support here. The smoke was down once again, and Freiburg didn't even need the help. But if he needed it, it was here. We got Forest popping out at the squeaky door, and they've seen nothing still. So 2 frags there. We've got to ask ourselves, you know, what are NIP thinking after they just got 2 frags? Well, in a spot like this, there's many ways to react. If your team doesn't know what's going on, because it's very possible that, okay, well, we saw this, right? There's the smoke down there, 2 kills straight away from Freiburg. So NIP are in a position now where if they didn't get any other information, they can just fall back onto the sites like we saw in the pistol round, maybe even leave a player in this area to quickly be able to find information. They didn't lose anybody, so that's basically the safest play, and we do see teams do that a lot, because they don't need to try to push or do anything else crazy, really. So let's just speed it up a little bit. We are going to see, indeed, Michael is in this area, the connector area, and he's going to spot 1 player. And Shox is there as well. So Michael has got information on 2 of the remaining 3 players. Problem is that they're in the central area, so it's still kind of impossible to know which way they're going to go. However, it doesn't really matter, and Michael is like fairly expendable. If he can pick up an easy kill or a nice engagement, then he absolutely should take it, because then it's going to be like, as you can see here, like, well, okay, it's going to be a 5-on-1, but I was going to say it could potentially be a 4-on-2, so still like a pretty good situation for NIP. So yeah, we can see in this round how key these areas can be in controlling the map. And let's go to the next buy round. That should be, let's just get in here. This was actually an overtime match, I think. But here we go. We got a buy. We got Michael with an AWP. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's speed up a little bit. Check out the positions. Ask ourselves some questions. All right. So this time around, we're actually seeing Get Right deciding to go aggressive here. So what are the merits? What are some of the merits here from going? Oh my god, we're so flashed right now. So blind. I think Get Right just dies. I think I vaguely remember this. But so what are some of the merits of doing this? Because Get Right's in a very forward position. Forest is still in a forward position. Freiburg has all of the sewers area. So look at this map control here. What do the T's have? Well, the answer is they don't have anything yet. They have to first win this party position, but they have to like or wait for the smoke to go through or take the risk and go up here. There can very well be an AWPer here. There can be an AWPer here. LDLC have to figure it out. They got no map control. They got to figure out what's going on, and to do that, they got to use grenades. They got to use flashes and at times even smokes to actually safely push into positions. Because Get Right can be here. He can be like in this area. He can be here. He can be here. He can be all over the place. And this is the problem on this map for the T's, that when the CTs have a decent enough economy, as we can see that NIP is starting to get towards a decent-ish economy, you can force so many grenades out of the T's. And if you think about it, it's a little bit like that dynamic when it comes to Inferno. One of the things about Inferno that can really swing how the map is played massively is the grenades from either team, because there's so many choke points and it's so hard to push through some of the choke points that it gives the CTs a massive advantage to actually have all the grenades. But when we see these spots where they're on low economy and they don't have grenades, and it becomes really difficult. Or likewise, the objective is largely to get rid of their grenades, which weakens their overall defense. This is very much the similest principle, but in reverse here. Instead, it's going to weaken the eventual attack of the T's. Not only that, it's going to give information, obviously, to the CTs. And because the rotation time between the sites is so fast, and obviously they have players in such central positions, they can adjust very rapidly as to how the T's are actually moving. And the T's options, if they don't have this area easily accessible, is very, it takes them a long time to get from literally from A to B. It takes them a very long time if they don't have this area. So the T's need to win this area, and they need to win this area. This is like the first kind of things that they need to do to actually start having a presence in the round, because otherwise NIP are just going to know what's going to come way ahead of time, be able to rotate into the good positions well ahead of time, and the LDLC will have like 2 little nades. And if they don't have as many nades, what if LDLC were trying to go for a set play? What if they wanted to go in this round for a set play towards A, or even a fake or something? But now they have to use nades and try to push into this position. You can see how awkward it gets. So this is one of the reasons why this map is so interesting, is because the CTs can do this. It's not like this on any other map. Yeah, Get Right did just kind of die. Just as I remembered from watching this live. But this is another option we're seeing here, because we know, and also NIP know, like Get Right just died here, right? He has his death cam. They know that the T's didn't push very far up here yet. So Forest, look how far down he is. Even Freiburg has moved in kind of from the sewers area into the connector area. So you can keep hold of this as Forest now tries to go for some sneaky maneuvers whilst they can't, like whilst they are trying to push forwards on the map still. And by the way, let's have a look at the timer. 25 seconds have passed in the game. So, and look, they're basically still at spawn. So it's very, very rough when the CTs can do this. And look at that. Forest is able to actually push from behind. They have no idea. Now they know he's there. Forest can either stay here, or he can just go for broke. Basically, he's so far out on the map that both options are decent. You can either satisfy yourself with having a 4-on-4, knowing that they're going towards B fairly conclusively, or you can satisfy yourself by trying to be Forest and saying to yourself, I'm an awesome player, I'm very confident in these one-on-ones. If I win this one-on-one, the round's over. So that's, you can argue it both ways. Now obviously we're seeing it go badly. So now Forest has given up this position. And if we imagine that he didn't challenge and stayed alive, Freiburg is not in so much trouble. Freiburg could actually go to sewers, or he could actually go up to a toilet. So Freiburg would have more flexibility. But because Forest took that risk and didn't just fall back with the frag, we can see that... oh no, this is happening so much. This was Forest on round 1. But yeah, I mean, because Forest took that risk, it obviously hurts his team's ability to actually respond. And now it's a 2-on-2. So you got to think about these things. Sometimes it's very hard in the moment when you're feeling really good. You just want to try to take the fights. But it's not necessarily always the best percentage play. But it's what makes the best players, because sometimes they go for these what you would think are like low percentage plays, but because they're so good, they just make it work. Like that's why they're so good. It's just the pure raw talent. So, but it's always good to just think about these things. It's always good to think about what would have happened if he had just fallen back, what's the best case scenario if he just stays there and fights, and what's the worst case scenario? Well, we basically just saw the worst case scenario here because he instantly died, gave up position, put more pressure on Freiberg. Freiberg took a risk, actually did pretty well, but then boom, he's down. So yeah, pretty interesting situation. Let's go to one more round actually, and see what we got. Here we go. Let's get another buy round. This looks like it's going to be a buy. Okay. Alrighty then. And I do aim to not make these episodes too long because it can be a little bit dense, I guess, of information. I don't like throwing too much at you at once. I think that's not the best thing in the world. But either way, here we go. So let's check out the CT's decisions at the start of this round once again. We can see how well NIP know how to play this kind of a style. Look at how aggressive they're getting. Again, the smoke here to Suez. It's going to allow Freiberg to get himself in this position safely. And then in this position, he's able to help support Michael on this very important connector area. And we have Forest, who's got, you know, this kind of area fairly under lock. Like Forest, if we think about Forest in this position, we want to... This is another principle that I think is kind of interesting to talk about. So if Forest is in this spot, and he's got Michael here in connector, how much, like, what does Forest really need to do? What does he really need to do? What does his job really need to be? Does he have to get frags, or is it more important that he just spots for information and stays alive? Because if you imagine that Forest goes out and, let's say, just dies here or dies here because he's trying to take like very aggressive duels, then Michael all of a sudden he can't retreat safely into this area. Michael is just isolated here with an AWP. So you want to try to think of who is the most important player or who is in the most important role, and you want to try to complement what they're doing, and you don't want to make their life harder. You want to increase their options. In this instance, I would argue that it's paramount that Michael in this position is able to stay alive at least for the first like 15 seconds or so, because essentially what's happening here is he's used his spawn for a timing pick down the corridor here on connector. And we'll see that we're actually seeing that Happy is going to be potentially the unlucky one to meet Michael. So once Michael has taken his shot, he's likely going to reposition here because this is kind of a horrible spot otherwise for an AWPer to be sitting for too long because he can get overwhelmed very easily. And we're going to see that he's having a bit of trouble hitting the shot. And he does go down. You can see Forest is actually just sitting there and get right as well. So they did have this area safe for Michael if he needed to like fall back up here if he really wanted to, because this was still smoked off. So he could have potentially fallen back here if he wanted to. Equally so, Freiberg having the door, he could have tried to fall back here, but obviously he's in Happy's line of sight, so it's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, just an interesting thing to think about, because sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about how you are supporting one other guy on your team and the role that he's playing. Sometimes that's more important. So let's see how this develops right now. I feel like I'm slurring my words because I'm so tired, and we're still stuck on Michael pod. What's happening? Alright, so it's all gone a bit pear-shaped, hasn't it? Get Right's basically alone after... Oh god, this again, stuck in the flash. Get Right's... Wow, okay, I don't know if they had seen Get Right already, but it looks like he's basically going to get some free frags here. Oh, I remember this, yeah. That was pretty round turning. So yeah, CZ is still really good in this match. They hadn't yet nerfed it for this finals. But yeah, so I guess that's pretty much everything for that round. I mean, this is just there's not much to talk about here. Obviously, like Kyoshima. I mean, in this position, it's okay. Let's ask ourselves, like, what are the options here for Kyoshima? Like, he doesn't know who is on the site just yet. He doesn't know if someone's flanking him. What he does know, though, is he's on the site and that he could potentially get a one-on-one. So in that case, it is just probably better for him just to try to get the one-on-one. It's quite clear that they don't know exactly where he is necessarily right now. They know vaguely that there's a player in front of them, but Kyoshima is just using the time very effectively to see if he can get a peek. There it is, and look at that. I mean, Exist peeked out. And that was a one-on-one that Kyoshima, if he just hits Exist in the head straight away, he wins that one-on-one, and then he's one-on-one against Freiberg here. It's a doable round. So, but yeah, CZOP, GG, GG's guys. So there you go. That was part 2. I know it's a little bit short. It's only like 20-ish minutes, but yeah, the feedback on the first part was pretty positive. And yeah, let me know if I should keep going in this kind of like this way, if this is what you like. I keep trying to throw these out there, and we'll try to like keep just thinking about situations, building some understanding. We talked about some cool principles about Overpass in this episode, so I look forward to returning to some more Overpass situations and demos, talking about some more stuff. But otherwise, guys, thank you for watching part 2, and let there be many more parts to follow as you guys seem to enjoy it.